Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I have my Premier League results video. At the start of the season I made a prediction video, kind of who I thought would go down, who I think finished top four, who I think would Champions Zone, where West Ham would finish, as well as the cup competitions. I know I've not really been doing the weekly reviews of the Premier League. I've just been really busy with work and stuff, and not been able to kind of fit in and Game of Thrones around and the Avengers and the list videos I've been doing. So fortunately I've not had time to kind of fit the football in, but I do have my reaction. So I'll start off with a relegation battle. So I predicted at the start of the season that Huddersfield, Cardiff and Crystal Palace would go down, and I got 2 out of the 3 right, and I wasn't far off. So yeah, Huddersfield finished bottom, and I thought they would. I didn't certainly say bottom, but I generally thought they would, because as I said in the sort of predictions video, that they didn't really strengthen as well as you probably would have done. They did well to stay up, and you think with that sort of injection they would have invested in some sort of real Premier League experience, but they didn't. Ended up finishing bottom. I think it's kind of below 20 points is kind of a really bad record. I think that's probably one of the 3rd or 4th lowest points tally since of a 38 game season. So not good for them. Fulham were the surprise team, and they finished 19th. I thought Fulham would do really well. They kind of really invested in the summer. They piled over £100 million into the squad, got some really good talent, as well as having some good talent when they came up. Ryan Sessegnon, James Kearney, Mitrovic at front, who did well for them, but they just didn't have what it was defensively. This is where Fulham lacked. Their defensive backline was just atrocious all season. I think they may have seen the most amount of goals out of anybody, and they were bad. They were really bad. So it's a shame for Fulham, because I like Fulham. I'd like to have seen them stay up and kind of have a good run in the Premier League, but it's not to be. So it's them. And in Cardiff were the other team, and they were the best of the bottom 3 in terms of finish. They finished 18th, and they kind of took it longer. They were the ones that were kind of really fighting, and they're the team that really surprised me, because again they didn't really strengthen their side with Premier League experience. And I know in the sort of January winter they had the whole Salah incident, which was really tragic and really sad for them, but they outside of that, they should have really had more to this kind of stuff. They should have strengthened a little bit more, and unfortunately we'll never know if he would have been the solution to their problems. But at the end of the day, Cardiff are gone, so not a big surprise, but I was surprised of how well they actually did. So then moving on to my team, West Ham United, finishing 10th. And I said at the start of the season, between sort of 7th and 10th I would be happy with, and I am happy. I think this has been a much better season than we had done. This by far our best season at the London Stadium, with Pellegrini kind of really changing the way that we play. And although we had a really terrible start, we lost 4 at the first 4 games, which was just atrocious, but I had faith. I knew it would click eventually, because it was a lot of new players coming in with a new manager, just trying to gel, and we did. We had a really big blip at the sort of middle of the season, where the whole Arnautovic thing going to China, wanted to stay, and then I think that kind of tore the squad a little bit, and it kind of created a few ripples, and I think that may have proved some inconsistency just after January, because obviously he ended up staying, but you can clearly tell he wasn't happy to be there. So I think that caused a bit of a rift. We've had some devastating injuries as well. Obviously we had Lanzini out for the majority of the season. We had Yarmolenko out for the majority of the season because he got injured after the first 6 or 7 games, and he was looking really well, looking really good in form. He scored some great goals, but yeah, him being out, I think that hindered the squad a little bit as well. Jack Wilshere was missing for most of the year, no surprise, because that's the thing with Jack Wilshere. You either get this brilliant centre midfielder who can really kind of be the engine of your squad, or you get some player that you never see play. Andy Carroll was fucking nowhere to be seen as per usual, but he looks like he's going now, so there's no loss there. So I think with the injuries and with all the new coaching staff, new everything, I think finishing 10th was a really good season. There is definitely potential to get higher. Hopefully we invest again in the summer, get some more talent in. I think we need probably another central midfielder, because Obiang looks like he's probably going to go on a no ball. As much as he does play well, he is kind of towards the latter end of his career now, and I think we need someone else up front as well to win Arnautovic if he does go, or if he's not at his best. I think we need a better central striker essentially. But I'm happy with 10th, so on to better things with West Ham. So the top 4 I predicted for, well, the next 3 were Man United, Tottenham and Liverpool, and again out of those 3 I got 2 of them right. Man United had an absolute atrocity of a season by their standards. They ended up finishing 6th, but they were just awful, really, really bad. They had flashes. They had that moment when Solskjaer first come in and they went on this run. I think he won 7 out of 8 games or something like that. And they then, because he was only coming as a temporary manager, and it was like, okay, so we'll give him the job permanently, because everyone was playing about, oh, we should give him the job because he's done so well. And then once he got the job, he just collapsed. I think the pressure got to him. I think when he was only in charge temporarily, he had that sort of freedom of, even if I don't do well, I've got a job back, wherever it was, in Sweden or Norway, where he was coaching. But once he got the job permanently, then it was his job. It was his job to lose. So I think the nerves maybe got to him. He kind of changed the style of play a little bit from what he was playing before, and it all just collapsed. They really kind of just crumbled, and losing to Cardiff at home on the last day is a terrible, terrible result for them. So Man United really need some structure and build. I think they need to clear out, because there's some players there I think have passed their best or have not lived up to their hype. Sanchez being one of them. Pogba just doesn't seem interested now. I don't think he's really that bothered. I think he's probably going to be gone in the summer. PSG, Madrid will probably be one of his 2 destinations. Lukaku just isn't the player that they thought he was going to be. Again, they're probably going to try to get rid of him and get another striker in. So it looks like it's going to be a big rebuild at Man United. They're talking about director of football, which I think they need. So we'll see how that one plays out. Tottenham finished 4th, but I thought they might finish a little bit higher. But they're in the Champions League final, which was a big shock. I think nobody saw that coming. They do well maybe in the Champions League, because Tottenham, they're not a bad side, and their kind of main starting 11 are really good, but they've got no real sort of strength in depth. And I think in Europe, I think they actually do better when Harry Kane doesn't play. But in England, I think they struggle when Harry Kane doesn't play. So it's a weird kind of balance and mixture that Tottenham have got going there, just the way the game's played in the European competition to what we play in domestic football. But finishing 4th, they're guaranteed Champions League football again, and obviously they're in the Champions League final, so they could be going to win that. And then if they win that before Arsenal have ever won it, that was something Arsenal fans will never live down. That unbeaten season would go out the window, because Tottenham won the Champions League before them. So I know most of the red half of North London are praying that Liverpool win that one. Speaking of Liverpool, they finished 2nd, and 2nd by some distance, 97 points, and not to win the league. They would have won, I think it was something out of 27 league titles, they would have won 25 of them if they finished on the same amount of points. So Liverpool are a championship team without a trophy, and I have my problems with Liverpool. It's more Liverpool fans than Liverpool the team itself, because the team from a footballing side have been amazing. The front three have been great with Salah, Firmino and Mane have been great. They have been really lucky. They've got some really, really dodgy decisions go their way, and I think a lot of that plays into the idea that the media love Liverpool. You see Sky, most of their pundits are ex-Liverpool players, bar sort of Gary Neville and a couple of others, but Souness, Carragher, Redknapp, they're all kind of really, really pro-Liverpool. Dalglish pops up every now and then, as well as BBC, because they've got Mark Lawrence and a few other people that are all Liverpool. Obviously you've got Thompson on Soccer Saturday, he's obviously a big Liverpool fan. And it's all that sort of mentality of this means more because we're Liverpool, because of the Hillsborough thing. And the Hillsborough thing is a tragedy, but let's not forget, they cause their own tragedies as well. They had their own incident when they played Juve at Heysel. So Liverpool aren't this innocent team. So my problem is with Liverpool fans, not so much with Liverpool the team, because as I said, Klopp I think is a great manager, and I think the squad that he's built has been really good. It's just they fell a little bit short, and it was unlucky for them, because like I said, they normally would have won it, but it wasn't to be this time around. So the eventual champions obviously were Manchester City, who I thought would win it, but I didn't think it would be this close. I thought City would probably do what they did the previous years, kind of go on and win it fairly comfortably, maybe 10 points above the team up second, but it was a point between the two of them, so it was a very, very close title race. Although I always thought City would probably go on and win it, I was fairly confident, but they did struggle to pick up some results. They only beat Burnley 1-0. It took Company to score some absolute screamer against Leicester to keep him in it. So they won as, although they had more, they were closely run. I think they weren't as good as last year. I do think they did struggle in some games, especially games you think they would win. Against the big teams, they generally did okay. But against those smaller teams, when they kind of knuckled down, and I think they struggled a little bit, City. They will strengthen, they will kind of get better, as it's going to be City. They've got all the money in the world, they can just pile more money into it, and hopefully then pip Liverpool or whoever is going to be the next challenge next year. Looking at the two cup competitions, I thought Liverpool might win the Carabao Cup, but it was City that went on to win it when they played Chelsea, which was a bonkers final when it came to the whole incident with Sarri and the goalkeeper and everything. The whole situation at Chelsea is just mad. It's a weird one, because they finished third out of everybody else. So they kind of were the best of the rest, because Liverpool and City were so far off everybody else, and Chelsea were the top of everybody else. But from a Chelsea fan point of view, they'll say they've had a bad season, but they're in the Europa League final and they're third in the league. But obviously got that transfer ban coming. Hazard is nailed on to leave. There's no way he's going to be there this time next year. The fans don't like Sarri. There's so much going on there, and I think Chelsea next year are really going to struggle because they can't bring anybody in. They're probably going to lose their best player, maybe a few others as well. So they might have to, all these players they loan out every year, they might actually play in the first team squad because they're not going to have any players that they can bring in. So I think next year's going to be a real struggle for Chelsea. But I thought Liverpool win the Carabao Cup. That ended up being City. As well as the FA Cup, I thought Chelsea would win that because that's generally a trophy. When they are struggling, they just seem to go on and win. But we've got a Watford and who was in the final? Watford and someone, I can't actually remember. But it's not Chelsea. So there we go. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. I will see you next season, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I'll have more videos all throughout the summer for various shows and movies and everything that's coming out. I'll see you next time.